Three, two, one, and welcome back to episode, I believe, 23 of Light Bearers. And once again, with your hosts, Geo and Kay, here to bring you the conversation, occasionally some groovy and interesting guests, and just to shoot the shit in an age of doom and gloom. We just have a ball with it. So, how you doing, Kay?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Good.
Just have to have me like a little crackle.
Snap, yeah.
You sweat all the salt in this weather.
Uh-huh.
A lot of humidity. How's the weather out in England?
Yeah, it's pretty hot as well. So
Is it humid?
um sort of, yeah.
How high is the humidity?
I'm not sure. Not too sure about that.
This is tropical weather humidity. I mean, you sweating your balls off. And the stuff I was saying before, like I work in greenhouses, right? And so most farmers agree that the best time to work is you get up like around 4 or 5, crank it out to like around 10, maybe 11, and then just take it in because the hottest sun is between 12 and 3. That's when it's like an anvil in the desert, like Lawrence of Arabia. Uh, and then you come back right around 4 and then finish up for like 2 3 hours so that you don't run the risk of overheating. And a lot of us, we go through like heat sickness constantly, and that's not good. But like what they say is, oh well, it can't be helped. It's the way it is. And it's
Well, it's
and
a system. It's a system that has to keep running. So the people have to adapt to the system. It's survival of the fittest. That's the way they see it. So if you're not suited to work at the hours when they require the work, then it's just like, they just have no empathy for that. So even if you're working at risk of overheating, they're looking for people who can endure that and who can put up with that. But that's just the sad reality of systems. Systems are not built for people.
Yeah, well, exactly. The systems were made by us. The system's supposed to work for us,
Not for us. They're made by us, but not for us.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing is that the system's supposed to work for us, not us for them. But it's the other way around because they want us inside of the system to control people. Just and it's sad because
it's to control infrastructure as well. It's to sustain infrastructure, buildings and systems. Like I said, they've got systems of civilization that they want to carry on going. So we're just robots that work in those systems.
You can still keep the civilization going. I mean, we're not that retarded. I mean, I think it's more of controlling the people. You know what I mean? Because the society has gotten so big that and that's one of the main reasons why you notice how like entertainment and television and for communications is just developing so like crisp, but God forbid we finally cure cancer. Do you know what I mean? And it's because it's a great way to keep tabs on people and keep people numbified. Let's make the television.
That's what it's always been about. It's always been about controlling people, controlling territory. Even from primitive days, that was what it was all about.
Yeah,
but controlling territory and controlling the people within that territory, because that's the only way they can feel secure.
Exactly. But if like you and I were looking at it logically, and logically it should make sense that all the shit that our ancestors and the people went through so that we can create this so-called society that hopefully we got a society where we can finally not have to worry about the elements, not have to worry about stress. But it seems to me like people back in the days, even though they had to face death in a more brutal way, it seems to me like they chilled a little bit more mentally. You know what I mean? And now we have it all, but we're still struggling. And our forefathers saw it different ways. Like if we have this, then we don't have to, we'll bleed for these people for the future. And it's just like, but whatever, it is just freaking hot as hell, dude. And so you need we sweat a lot of salt. And if you don't get your salt, man, you just feel like crap, dude. But hey, dude, so tell me about you were posting about the Crocs, and dude, it's not that the Crocs are not they're not comfortable. They're comfortable, especially if you get the authentic ones, not the rip-off. Because there are a lot
Yeah,
of
I
rip-offs
got
you can get
authentics. I got authentic ones.
that you get at the dollar store. No, originally it was nurses that used to use those because they were easy to put on it and take off. That was mostly used in the hospital rooms by the nurses and the doctors. So it was easy for them to stand on their feet all day and whatnot. But then it just one day it became like almost mandatory, especially in Japan, bro. Like Crocs at one time were like pretty much the mandatory shoe to wear. And if you didn't wear it, you're a weirdo. And so just out of principle, I remember somebody bought me a pair. What I mean about somebody is my ex, my son's mom. And she bought me a pair that I told her, like, don't buy me those shoes. You can go ahead and wear them. You can do what you want. I'm not going to tell somebody, oh, don't wear them. You're following the trend. I can think that by myself, whatever. And if you obviously do want to wear them because they're comfortable, then they'll be my guest. But me, I just didn't want to because everybody just had them. And it was almost like a Croc club. And people would go around like showing off their Crocs and put like all these little pins on them. So I remember she came home with a pair of Crocs, bro. And I just went outside, threw them in a garbage can, and burnt them out of principle. But that's just me. I mean, I'm not going to down anybody for wearing them.
I bought mine yesterday. I fancied something comfortable, and a lot of people were going on about them being comfortable. So I bought them for purpose. You know, I don't go with it. I didn't follow the politics surrounding that. It just, I was more interested in what's going to be comfortable for me right now. My shoes, they're a bit uncomfortable. I need something with a wider space for my feet, you know, to feel freedom. And that was the first thing that popped up.
Your feet don't feel so constrained. No, I get it. I totally get it.
So
I'm just one of those.
I bought it for the purpose.
Yeah, I'm just one of those.
I'm actually happy with them. Actually, I think they're my new favorites.
Yeah, no. I didn't mean it in that way, like that idea. I'm just a cat. I'm just a crazy cat like that. That I'll just on principle, I'll walk on freaking.
Yeah, but then again, that's the politics that happened in Japan. I wasn't aware of that, you know, because I live in England, so we didn't have that sort of thing going on here.
It was probably not like that over there, but over here, it's like Crocs would be raining out of the sky, bro. It died down a little bit, but for almost close to like 18 years, it was
we didn't have that kind of problem over here with the Crocs. It was just fashionable at one time. Everybody knows they're ugly looking, but they're comfortable. But I didn't buy into it either until when I just thought yesterday, you know what? Let me try something comfortable. It's summertime. I need my feet to feel free. So for some reason, Crocs popped up in my head.
How much you pay for them?
Only about £35.
Yeah, they're cheaper now. They used to be like really expensive. Like out here, you pay at least over $100, £100, you know, for a pair of Crocs because they were in high demand. They were in high demand. Like I'm telling you, it was like when the Lexus first came out, bro. You know what I mean? The automobile, the Lexus. Ooh, yeah. That was the Lexus of the feet, dude. And everybody.
35 pounds isn't too much.
No,
for comfortable sandals, and they're originals. They're originals.
Not for that price. No.
The original Crocs.
Actually, the cheapy ones were about 2,000, like the counterfeit ones, you know. Like instead of Louis Vuittons, you get Gooey Vuittons. These were Crocs. Like the fake ones would be, instead of Crocs, there were cocks, you know.
Yeah.
So how's the workout going, mate?
It's all right. I've just been more stretching. I had the yoga class yesterday. I pay for like a yoga class. Sometimes, not every week, but sometimes I try to do it weekly with this guy that he teaches us on Zoom. So I had a class yesterday. I'm still sore from it. It was just stretching, but it was quite intense.
Well, it's kind of isometrics in a way too, because you have to have static poses. Not only do you stretch, but you stretch, but you have static poses which are designed to also strengthen the frame and the core. It focuses a lot on strengthening the core, you know. And some of these yogis can do some outrageous things, like, you know, that.
Yeah, he's quite incredible.
That train would, you know, in the bodybuilding industry, the bodybuilding field, they couldn't imagine of doing. They just can't. But there's this one guy called Matt Fury. Have you ever heard of Matt Fury?
No.
Well, it's this cat from the state, Matt Fury, and he took like the old school training, like pretty much took the Charles Atlas manual, and then he like repackaged it for himself, and he took all those exercises. He was a wrestler, and he used to emphasize it. He took this one part, got yoga exercises, and said like, you have to really focus on stretching, even if you're a big guy, especially if you're working on building muscles,
Yeah.
because you're gonna get too tight, and then your
That's
neck.
that's what this guy always tells me.
Yeah, your neck is very prone to injury from that. And he had this one guy that was a jujitsu practitioner, and he was huge, a friend of his, and his neck, his muscles got so tight that his neck broke, because of
Mhm.
that. And so he had this book, and I might want to get it. It's just that the Matt Fury manuals is stuff that I already know, but he had these cool little programs the way he did them. Um, they're just too pricey. He really priced them up, made us cash. But he had this one book called Combat Stretching, and it's just amazing, like what this guy used to do, like with the bridge, just insane, dude. Those remember the step classes,
Mm-hmm.
you know at the aerobic, where you had that little kind of little plastic step,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I got one of them.
Well, what he would do is he would put one and then do a bridge and go back off it until he would get like a stack of 10. And I mean, this dude is huge. Well, back in the days, he was even bigger. He's gotten older. And just the stuff he used to do about that. And after I started reading the stuff, I started thinking more about stretching and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so yoga, I'm doing the Wim Hof, uh, and I'm doing the basics, the essentials or something like that, which is a 10 weeks course. And I'm learning a lot of stuff. But at the beginning of each class, uh there he has this one girl she's a yoga instructor. Her name is Marica, and in Spanish, Marica means gay, but a male, a male gay dude. And so every time I hear that word, I'm like, no, 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 I can't unhear that. But anyway, so she has this like a typical, I'm so calm. It's a little bit too much. Took me a while to get used to it, because the first class, she just sat there, and it's almost like she was high, like she was stoned on like mushrooms and weed and and
Mm-hmm.
CBD, and like she was on, dude, she was on opium. And she was like, okay, now. And that's the part about like this kind of yogi, like
Yeah,
the ones who,
my guy's a bit like that too. He's 50 years old, and he's a black guy as well. He can do every kind of split you can think of. He's the oldest break dancer in England, the most flexible break dancer in England at his age. So
yeah, oh,
I mean, his flexibility is beyond incredible. And he's also got a very calming way about him. He's always talking about positive energies, and he's got that very calm manner about himself. And I don't know, maybe it's a byproduct of being that flexible. Maybe when you get that kind of flexibility, it releases a lot of the tension. So you're not so anxious and you're not so aggressive. If that makes sense.
I totally thought about that, but it's just almost like, it almost seems like contrived, because I seen like the Indian yogis and the gurus, and they're calm, but they don't act like so high, like this. Okay, and now.
No, I think
Right?
that there must be some value to it. Maybe they must be feeling some kind of euphoria for them to get into that state.
Yeah, I think so too. But then I also think like, I go back to Nietzsche. It's like those who preach peace are usually those who are the most vicious in war. And have you ever just had like one of like that one grandmother or auntie that was just so sweet and just so calm and so flowerful? And then when
Yeah,
she got
yeah.
pissed off, it was like, because she had been like actually holding the anger, pretending to be calm. and she
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just obligated. So it's just something I
yeah.
always
People do that too. That's true.
yeah,
That's true. People try to put on a persona, put on an
yeah.
act, and put on a character that really can be broken at any time. It's true.
Yeah,
But sometimes they're genuine with it. Sometimes
yes.
could be, but it's not easy to tell whether they're being genuine or they're lying. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, sometimes you can, because I remember I had this Christian brother, and I just couldn't believe how nice he was, and he was a huge dude. I mean, he can totally do Hulk smash, dude. And he was just amazing. I'll give you a perfect example of it. We'll go back to the story because I want to get into like the stretching thing. It's just I've been doing it recently. I just don't want to be into like a full-time yoga, but I would like mixing it and learning the essential yoga, the yoga stretches that work for me where I feel they're necessary, and then take it from there. But anyway, let me tell you about this guy. Little story. When I was like 17, 16, 17, I was living in Culver City, California, which is really close to Santa Monica by the beach, west side. Uh, and I was like, even though I'm still in a heavy metal, that's when I first started getting into like some really like heavy stuff. And my friends that I had met there at the high school, they were into Slayer, and I was really into like Christian. I was a teenage Christian, and I had like this camouflage cat with the tails in the back, like for the desert, which don't make sense because it's camouflage. But anyway, and so I would fold the bill up, right, and had it so it stayed like that. And then I put the word Jesus, I put Jesus on. I wrote on it with a whiteout, so it can stand out. And then I put a pentagram, upside down pentagram, So I was conflicted with my metal and the love for the Lord. And so, I had gone into this band called Slayer. And I remember when I first listened to it, I kind of felt guilty, because I was listening to Iron Maiden, but they would mention the devil and spirits here and there, but mostly they wrote about history, and they wouldn't write about the devil, something about spirits and stuff like that with for pushing like Satanism or anything like that. They were just writing it like either myths or whatever to show some kind of like lesson in life. But Slayer, like one of the guitar players, it was just straight up would talk about like fucking Satan's gonna come and fucking rip you up and shit, dude. They had an album called Hell Awaits and shit, and it started off like when you played it, it would be like Sanyas, and be like fucking die, and then the music would start on. And then if you took the record and played it backwards, because they were doing backmasking on that, and it was just a way for people to scratch up the records and go buy another one, or just because it was cool and people, you got to buy this record. And when you played it backwards, Sanyas was join us, and it would be like join us, you will burn in hell. And I was freaked out. I was like, whoa, and so I had gotten this shirt by them that had this green demon, and in the back it said the root of all evil. It came from a song called South of Heaven. Imagine that, South of Heaven, which meant hell. And the verse would be like, the root of all evil is the heart of a black soul, a force that has lived all eternity. And I mean, the lyrics were well crafted, good vocabulary, but I mean, they were really, you can feel the evil and shit, dude. And so I remember walking home at night, and I always saw this little Protestant church across the street from a 7-Eleven, which was next to my house. And there was always some new Bible text on there, right? And I grew up in a Catholic home, but I always saw this Bible text, and one of the Bible texts that night, it says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, John 3:16, which I have tattooed right here. I got it when I was 19 years old.
That whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but
have everlasting life. Yeah. And it really touched me, man, as a teenager. And I was going through some major struggles, as I've spoken about my life a little bit. And so I decided I'm going to go in there, right, with my Jesus hat and a pentagram and the shirt that says the root of all evil. Now, if I'd have walked into a Catholic church like that in Latin America, they would have freaking hung me in the back and burnt me, dude. Do you know what I mean? Like, whoa, Satan. And at some Protestant church too in the Bible Belt. And this Protestant church was non-denominational. So I walk in there, most of the members there, were white, like full on white, white bread with blue eyes and stuff. And I walk in, and then this little dude, Alfred, he gets up and that he looks at my shirt, but not like this. He just looks at it and just like, oh, you have a seat right here, and here's a little Bible, and we're singing these hymns. And there was this really tall dude, like the height of Schwarzenegger. It's almost just as big as him, and he had like this radiance in his face. He's all, "Hi, what's your name?" "Oh, Giovanni. My name is Ruben. We're still friends. I still call him Brother Ruben." I love that guy, man. Well, the story about the whole calmness, I thought it was like he was just being fake. Because how could somebody be so fucking happy all the fucking time? And I never seen him like let himself get away with rage, like rage take over him. And he always had like an example about the Lord, and he played like Christian rock. So this is Petra, and Petra means the rock, and Jesus was the rock, which was where the church was to be built upon. Not Peter, but Jesus was the rock. Peter was stone, Petra was a rock, and you can't. And then he would go on, but he wouldn't try to push it on me. He would make it come alive, and we listened, and he would sit down and listen to the music with me, non-judgmental, and be like, you see this part's in the Bible, and this is what it's talking about. But you just got to be careful. Don't let yourself get taken away, because once you really get in love with the Lord, there's the other stuff that the Lord's going to take from you. You don't have to give up things for the Lord. You just give them because you love the Lord. And it was just full of the Lord, dude. And one day on my birthday, right, he would invite me to his house and stuff like that. And one day on my birthday, I went to the 7-Eleven right across the street from the church, which was next to my house. And there was this one dude. I was with my cousin or my friend. I was with somebody. I forget if it was my cousin, which wasn't no small guy either. And there was this Mexican gangster dude that was drunk, and something had happened in his life, and he just walked up to me. It's like, "What's up, vato?" And he wanted to beat the shit out of us, dude. And I was trying to calm him down. I'm like, "Dude, nah, I don't want any problem." I was a skinny little dude. He would have freaking mopped the fucking universe with me, bro. I was scared, dude. And so Ruben had gone in his Mercedes Benz, bro, because he drove this old World War II Mercedes Benz, a diesel. And by the way, he had messenger pigeons. He would fucking fly them around. He was just a classy dude. And he went to look for me to take me out for my birthday. And my auntie, he walked up to the door, and you can't even see his head because it was so tall, so he'd have to come down. And he walked up to the door, right? And Gio's at 7-Eleven with his friend. They went to go get a soda pop and stuff like that. And then Ruben rolls up in his Mercedes Benz, right? And he gets out and starts here. He's all, "Giovanni!" Just so happy. And the dude turns around and, "Who the fuck are you, Holmes, man? I'll fucking light you up," and all this stuff. And Ruben just goes up to him and just puts his hands on his shoulders. "What's going on, brother? Are you hurting inside?" And he just, and it's all, "Get your fucking hands up, dude. Let me tell you something. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to be so angry. I understand. But let me tell you the best thing that's gonna really help you out. Jesus loves you, bro. If nobody else loves you, don't worry about it. Jesus, the creator of the universe, loves you. And that's all that matters." And it was just so serious that the guy just didn't know how to read Ruben. And then he tried it it's like, "Man, I'll fuck you up. I don't care if you're bigger than me." It's like, no one is bigger than anyone, because the Lord is bigger than all of us. And he loves us. He could come and stomp us all, but he doesn't. And he loves you, brother. So what you gonna do? Are you gonna accept the Lord tonight with me? And the dude started crying, bro. He broke down in tears, dude. Snot rolling down his nose. And he just looked at me, "Giovanni, why don't you go home? Go home. I'll call you tomorrow. I'll invite you. I want to take you out for your birthday. I got to help this brother out." He took him in his car and he took him home with his wife and his kids, bro, and saved that guy's life, bro. Got him out of drugs. He went, "I want to see where you live." And it's like, "Nah, brother, you can't be staying like this. That's what's happening. We're going to help you out." And he saved that guy's life. But you could see that the thing was genuine. Like, No one could be that lovely if it wasn't genuine, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, maybe it's just sometimes some people seem contrived, but this was just one of those guys you
Yeah,
just
there's many people. There's a lot of genuine people out there, but
yeah. And you just
actions like that will make you see when they're being tested, when they're thrown real life tests, then you see how they respond, and you know if it's real or not, because nobody could pretend around the test.
no, and I mean Ruben could have stomped on him. He could have totally stomped on him. I mean, he wasn't a street dude or anything, but he was not drunk. He was he's active. He can run circles. He would play basketball. I mean, the dude was solid. I've seen him like lift a car to get something off, like from a small little car, just gonna. And the dude was strong and just naturally big boy, and he just gave him all this love. It's like he just the guy had like the black cloud, and homeboy just went shot him with hearts, dude. And the dude started crying. Like this dude with like tats here, like all these treses and all these. Dude, he was a vato from the hood that you can tell he'd seen people get stabbed, shot,
Mm-hmm.
and he just broke down, dude. He just saw he had never witnessed love in that magnitude, that unconditional love. And what Ruben used to tell me, he's like, look, yeah, I like this and I like that, but there's no one else on this planet that I emulate to be like, but I can never even come close to. But the one that I want to be like the most is not Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's not this. I respect those people and they've done great achievement. But for me, I want to be like the Lord. And the Lord wouldn't have gone out and stomped on him. You know? And so I respected that. I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? And so I don't know it. So maybe the brother that's doing the breakdancing, you know, the yoga instructor. Do you know much about his life and what got him to get into yoga?
Well, he had the injuries himself. He studied with. He went to Japan and studied with a master for, I don't know, 25 years. He said, and that's who taught him all the things that he knows about stretching. He claims that his method is more powerful than yoga through what the guy taught him. But he also came from injuries and he couldn't do all the things that he's doing now beforehand. So I don't know much about him in terms of his life. You know, he's a friend of mine on Facebook and I can see all the stuff he can do. But from the interactions I've had with him so far, and I'm a funny guy as well. Sometimes I don't like to test people, but when situations arise, then I see how people deal with it as well. And I'm sure people watch how I deal with things too. So it was like, I'll give an example. It was like, so I paid for a class 2 weeks ago, but just the day of the class, I was like, oh, I can't do this today. You know what I mean? So I messaged him. I said, I can't attend the class today. Is it okay for me to do the class next week? So remember, I've already paid for it already. So he's like, sure. At the end of the class, he was like, sure, we'll wait till next week. So next week came and he didn't send me the link to the class. So in my head, I was wondering, oh, is it a no refund policy? Or as it because I didn't attend the class last week, does that mean my money is void? So me, what I didn't message him to ask him what's going on about it. I was happy to lose that payment just to see his character. And then I was just chilling. And that was last week. So last week I didn't get the link. And then just yesterday, bam, I just open my messenger. Here's the link for today's class. So I thought, do you know what I mean? Because the week before I was thinking, I was already, you know how we are, we're judgmental. We're like, so what? Because I missed the class last week, so he wants me to pay again for another one. Is his policy a non-refund where he's that strict? So I wanted to know through that situation, I wanted to know a bit more about him. But then yesterday, he just surprised me and he was like, yeah, here's the link for the class today. He's not asked me for any money, so he's obviously acknowledged the fact that I've paid for one and it's outstanding. So little things like that, you know, you don't have to make noise. And if he didn't send me the link yesterday, I wouldn't have said anything to him. Like I said, I was happy to have lost that payment for that one class.
Well,
because it teaches me more. I learn more.
Well, not just that, you know where it's coming from too. I mean, we are going through some hard times, but you know, and it interferes with him booking other people, you know what I mean, and he prepares things for you and whatnot. But it does make a difference, and I understand that. I know where you're coming from, because my policy as an English teacher, which I still do some classes online. I actually just have one, but before, uh, is that didn't want to be like the other companies, and I understand that even if they lie to me, maybe they're just not in the fucking mood, but they already
Yes,
paid. You know what I mean? And what's that gonna do to me? They already paid for that spot and it's there. It's not like I can book double. And maybe okay, so I just here's oh, I got a free time, I got a day off today. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I would be like, oh, no worries. I can if it's good with you, we'll just do it next time, or we'll roll you an extra class for next month. And sometimes they would be king for it and be thankful. So no, it's okay, Gio. Thank you very much, or whatnot. But
Yes,
that's a good touch of
yes.
care.
So
It's a
when he,
good.
yeah, yes, it was. I felt it, and then I was happy. So when he sent me the thing, I was like, oh, even though it's short notice, I wasn't expecting it because I already thought that you've put me to the side to the shadow realm, and then it's like, okay.
Shadow realm.
So I was like, yeah, that made me come into the class. I think, okay. And then when we got onto the Zoom class, and he's still got his positive outlook, so I was like, hmm. So
Yeah, yeah.
whatever judgments you have of people, sometimes their consistent character will break down your judgments and make you see the lights. So you
Yes.
go through, you let people go through scenarios. It's like me myself, that I
Mm.
might be put in a situation where somebody else is watching what I'm going to do, and they'll see, oh, what's the integrity of this guy that keeps on preaching this message? What is the truth? Because he keeps preaching this on Facebook, but he doesn't know that we can see him in a situation right now. So, and
Mm.
people are watching to see how you're going to respond. And that's the way they're going to know if your character is true. It's not just surface, it's also internal, or they're going to see if you're putting on a facade. So,
Well, because we're used to just people just being shady. And so I
of
guess
course,
people have gotten jaded, and in a way they like hope to be betrayed just so they can say, see, that's how jaded we've become. And when
yes,
we actually see like something good, it blows us away, and it works wonders, man. I mean, you gotta be like really, really negative not to appreciate something like that, you know.
honestly, that just made me think, you know what? I need to stick with this guy.
Yeah, and
Honestly,
that's
that
a
was
good
all
thing.
that went through my mind. I was like, I'm sticking with this guy because I tested his character there through a real life situation, and he's not disappointed so far. And you give
Well,
people the benefit of the doubt when they show such character.
yeah, it's hard to meet authentic people, and that really make I mean, it's not like anybody's perfect or anything like that, but when you meet genuine people like that, you got to really treasure them, because there are few far in between. And it's not like we're not capable of it. It's just going back to what we're talking about, the system. Instead of
Mm-hmm.
the system working for us, we are working for the system, and it's made us really bitter,
Yes,
really bitter.
and
And to see that, you got to treasure it, because it's
yes,
not like we're not capable of it. It's just that we've become so blinded and consumed by the mud and the crap that we feel like we can't dig our way out of it,
yes,
and show that character. We're all capable of such
yes.
of
But that's what I'm
shitty.
saying, because I also understand he's got family to feed. He's got times that he holds precious to him, and he could have looked at what I did that day as in a different light. Do you know what I mean? Maybe he
Mm,
did, and maybe he reviewed it afterwards. Maybe the last week he thought to himself, but why did Cage just cancel short notice and all this year? But then it took him a week, and then he came back and he was like, here's the link, and this is what
yeah.
you paid for. So, and I know everybody's got stresses in life. Everybody's got money obligations. Everybody's
Mm.
got plans. Everybody's got bills to pay. So this can also put a darkness in our hearts sometimes, a greed and a
Yes,
hunger.
yes, 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 yes.
You understand what I'm saying? But
Yes.
people with character can look beyond that sometimes and see the bigger picture.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a bit time for us to think, because I've been like that too, where I've just snapped, or I judge somebody, and then I take back a moment, you know, take a moment to step back, and I've reevaluated and be like, well, you know what? And sometimes it takes time to think of it, and it's nice to see when people do like uh, reevaluate their thoughts and their judgments, and come back and say, you know what? And that's a beautiful thing to know that we are not above reproach, to understand
Exactly.
that none of us are above reproach, and to be able to sit down, for somebody to step back and be able to think about things and come back and say, you know what, I'm the one that bollocks things up, or nah, it's okay, I don't walk on water either. You know what I mean? And that's a good thing to be able to, that's why that time to think is really important.
Yes, to
For
reflect.
reflection, that's the word I was looking for, a moment of reflection. So yeah, I'm glad you found that, dude. Well, now we'll jump back into the yoga. And so anyway, so as I told you, I've been doing this Wim Hof thing, right? And so I got used to the lady now. I think she mellowed out with the mellow a little bit, but she's still mellow. She's just not like mellow on steroids. And before we engage into whatever breathing exercise we're doing, the class usually goes with like a 15, 20 minutes of stretching. And it's fantastic. It's a great thing. And again, like I want to take what works for me. And now that so I rate, yeah, yoga works fantastic for us. Or stretching. It doesn't have to be yoga. You could just stretch. If it's well intentioned, well focused, well done stretching, it works wonders. And now uh, that I've started to do, I got it finally. So I'm gonna start that channel, as I was telling you. The only thing is that this one, if you notice, is Charles Atlas Power Isotonics. So I ordered this on Amazon, and actually Charles Atlas Incorporated, they have their own company, which the only thing to sell is the manual and maybe like a vitamin E, vitamin C, and a protein powder. That's it. They don't sell anything else. And this is the longest running mail order company. The longest one has been going for the longest time, dude. And it still sells the program. I originally had gotten it about 10 years ago. And it comes in a folder this thick. And it's not just exercise, but it covers a lifestyle. It covers diets, breathing, martial arts. It covers all kinds of stuff. And it comes with like a little certificate or a little agreement. It says that that you have to, before doing this, you have to agree to yourself that you're going to change the way you live your life, and that you're going to live a clean life. You're going to refuse to do things that are not conducive to your health and to your spirit, and to the way you live a good, clean life, wholesome, so that you can become the most radiant person that you can potential. Then you sign it, and it was cool because it got these kids, to stay positive. And that's the thing that attracted me to Charles Atlas, to really get into it, is especially at a time where I was going through like a really bad alcoholism and just madness, dude. And so anyway, it's a really nice one, but it says Charles Atlas Dynamic Tension. And so on the cover, he wasn't wearing these shorts, he was wearing leopard tights. And so I thought I was going to get the manual. I didn't pay attention, and it's the same price. It's about 50 quid, but it's worth the cash. I mean, it's got a lot of information. And so I ended up getting this starved out little book, and I was like, okay, let me read it. And so, well, what happened to his freaking trunks, dude? And it says Charles Atlas Power Isotonics, the complete book of dynamic self-resistant exercises based upon the Charles Atlas method. And that's when I said, wait a second. And so what the guy did is he just copied it, because you can tell it's been copied, the images, you got the pixels. And they just put it in a book, and they talk a little bit about Charles Atlas, where it came from, not much, and they just repackaged it for the same price. And it's just like, you can't do something like that, man. It doesn't even have a name. It just has like a publishing company. And I think somebody just went and copied and now made money off, which is still exercise, but you're making money off a master, and you're taking off the most important thing. How about like this other guy, this other guy called, I think his name is something Patterson, but he made a really, really good book, this thick. It comes in rings. And now when I bought it, it was about 50 quid. Now it's about 80 quid. I gave it to one of my friends, and he doesn't use it. So I told him, hey, if you don't use it, just give it back, mate. because now I'm building my library with all these old school books.
Mhm.
And he talked about isometrics, and then he really broke them down, because the thing about some of these manuals was the way the explanation, it wasn't a clean explanation. And this guy really broke it down, but he gave credit. Says my dad got into the Charles Atlas dynamic tension method, and he talked about all. There's a section alone at the beginning of all the greats, from McFadden, Charles Atlas, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all of it, and what they were all about. Bruce Lee, you know. And then the real clean pictures talked more about health, water, breathing, but he really gave credit to the Charles Atlas method. Says what I'm doing is the Charles Atlas dynamic tension exercises, and we modified some of this and whatnot. Now we made it more accessible, more in depth, but none of these exercises are mine. Whereas in this, it's just like you're just repackaging his product, making it cheaper and making money off it, and changing the short so that you don't get sued or something like that. Because there's no name to anybody. There's no one to sue. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, I got it, and it's nice that I got it again. I'm gonna go through the company.
I mean, it's still got some fragments of Charles Atlas in it.
Yeah, well, I'm
Maybe
gonna
not
get
the real deal,
because I want to still give the cash where it belongs to it, which is his son.
yes,
you know.
yes. So if you source it, you'll find it, I'm sure.
Yes, well, I know where it's at. It's. I just thought, oh, I'll just get it. It's here on Amazon. I'll just get it. But anyway, I started doing the exercises again, and I just looked at one of my pictures from a year ago, and I was bigger, but I looked thick. I just didn't look well defined, and now I'm like, and it's been not just the diet, but for the past 2 months that I've been hitting the dynamic tension, and now I got these exercises. I'm really dissecting them. They have that yoga element into it. You know, and that's what I like about him. And my muscles don't feel as tight as before. And he talks about one of the things is like throughout the whole day, try to just reach up to the sky and constantly stretch the sky and breathe deeply. Another one is interlace your fingers from behind, throw your shoulders back, and then twist from side to side. Do this as many times as you want during the day, and it's going to release all that tension in the spine. Reaching up to the sky is going to balance your shoulders and going to stretch your spine, and you're going to feel limber. And so what it goes down to is like what you're doing is fantastic, because what you and I do, which is bodybuilding, strength, body strength. I call it bodybuilding because I like it is we're building the body. It without stretching, you end up feeling tight. And I've seen people that are at the gym.
I've broken my neck already, so
yes. So keep on doing the yoga, bro. Keep on doing the yoga. But dude, check it out. I'm really excited about it, man. Hey, I haven't seen you posting on Bullworker for a while, man. I miss your posts, dude. You used to have some classic videos, bro.
Yeah, I know. I haven't been posting anywhere really. Even the Rope Flow community, the Mace, I haven't posted anywhere really lately for a long time. So
any particular reason? Are you going into your cave right now and just reevaluating? Because I'll do that sometimes too.
Sort of, yeah. And I'm going within my own body, you know, and just dealing with things, you know, life, trying to balance my energies and all that. So I've just taken a step back from the posting, and it's from the external, and I'm just internalizing things at the moment. Yeah,
we've been meaning to schedule a workout, and actually I like to schedule one like maybe in a couple of weeks, and so I can teach you some of the dynamic tension, and we'll start off. Maybe you can do some of the stretch and teach me some of those stretches, and dude, you're gonna fall in love with the dynamic tension. And it's for example, like you got the iso bowl, right? And the iso bowl, you'll grab it and you want to do the biceps, so you'll pull, right? This one goes this way and this one goes that way. The dynamic tension is different. And here's the thing about the dynamic tension, it's more physically demanding. You're really pushing against yourself. It's like you're getting into a wrestling match. Have you ever wrestled with somebody, bro?
Yeah, of course I have.
Okay, now wrestling is got to be one of the most demanding fighting sports out there, activities. Not that boxing is not. I mean, boxing is brutal, but I'm talking about physically demanding. wrestling. I mean, if you're not in good shape within like 30 seconds, you're just like, just constantly, your
Mm.
muscles are engaged at all
Well, when
times.
I growing up in the city of London, I'm pretty sure everyone got to wrestle. You know,
Yeah, you wrestle a little bit.
especially in the time when I grew up, when there was a lot of violence and there was a lot of gang activity in London. Everybody threw hands and
Yeah,
threw
yeah,
something.
and kids and boys were played a little rougher back in the days. Nowadays,
Yeah, exactly.
they'll get a group to come after you, and put you. They're like, no, you're not appreciating the safe space. It's like, get the fuck out of here, dude. But
No,
anyway,
we did a lot of that stuff. It was very rough.
it was good. It was good. Sometimes it went a little bit too far, but it was good. It was good. I mean, I definitely don't regret it. I like that little bit of the roughness. You need some of that, especially boys need a little bit of that. But anyway, going back to now, if you're doing the bicep here, instead of pulling this way and pulling this way, this is pushing, and you're really pushing against yourself, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And when combined with the focus and the breathing, I was watching this documentary with Arnold Schwarzenegger now in his later age, and he talks about focus. He says, you've seen the guys that go to the gym and they just do, and they just doing hundreds of curls and they still look like shit. It's just, why? Because they're not using their minds, they're not focusing. It says you got to do it with intent. You
Mm-hmm.
got to really put your mind to it. And that's why I find it so beautiful. And now coming back into, I'm really discovering it, and it's a fantastic way of exercising. So I usually do 30 to 40 minutes of dynamic tension before I
Mm-hmm.
hit the full worker. And remember, we used to work out with the white spring. Then I
Mm-hmm.
got the blue spring, which is a little lighter, and I stayed with that for a while. But I hadn't done my compressions for a bit. Like I still doing my bull work, but I was going a little less, doing more of the isobo and mixing it up a little bit. And then I started really adding that dynamic tension, and I love how it's working for me.
Mm-hmm.
And a few days ago, like 3 days ago, I was looking for my S3, but I didn't know where I put it, and I don't want to lose the flow. I didn't want to get cold, and so I saw just the S2, but I didn't have I wanted the gold spring. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just go to the gray. Now I'm gonna do some compressions, and I was expecting just to go like halfway. For the first time, I was able to crush the gray spring all the way
Mm-hmm.
with smoothness. And not just that, I did 10 nice reps on each section.
Mm-hmm.
That's how strong dynamic tension, and the whole system of the Bullworker is based on dynamic tension. So I want to check that shit out with you. Have you ever done dynamic tension exercises, mate?
Well, I've done things that are pretty much the same, yeah, in the
Yeah, I
past.
mean, yeah, this is, I'm thinking,
I have done that. I have done that sort of training.
yeah, it's amazing work. You have this book, don't you?
Yes, somewhere I do.
Okay. And see, a lot of people miss that part. There's I'm gonna go into it because a lot of it comes from this.
Mm.
There's a part, this is proper use. It says always start routine slow, easing into the amount of effort put forth. And when I do isometrics, remember how I used to teach you and said, like, we're gonna build up the contraction, right? So you take a
Mm-hmm.
deep breath, and as you're breathing in deeply, you're easing into the contraction, the desired contraction force. Then you exhale, and then when you release, you inhale, and as you're inhaling, you're slowly releasing the contraction, and that's the proper way of doing the exercises, right? And it's funny because they're here, and a lot of people miss this important page. Another part that says, here's focus. Here's the part, number 3, okay? Focus on dynamic flexation. Focus. Slow and purposeful movement with intent. That's the key, and that's what I got from this. He really emphasized this. A lot of the old cats did it.
Mm.
Do you have any old cat, like old school strongman that you really look up to?
Oh, there's many, but the mind body connection, that's something I've always understood. I knew that when I was 17, when I was lifting weights, when I was 17 years old, I always felt my mind and body connection was always strong. And I feel that's why I developed a very good physique from a young age. But, you know, it's just different methods, different ways of training. Maybe sometimes you just overdo it sometimes, you know, but it's through trial and error. So I didn't really have a mentor, if that's the question. I didn't really have a mentor that led me. So I made some mistakes along the line. But one thing I did understand was the mind and body connection and how to use your mind to sculpt your body. And that's something I still understand till now.
Yeah.
And it's something that I do understand the value and the importance. So anything I do, even if I'm swinging the mace, my focus is 100%. My mind is directing every muscle in my body. I know it's working.
Otherwise it doesn't work, mate. It doesn't work at all. You know,
yes.
And so now that we're talking about that, let's get a little bit deeper into the mind thing. Because it's not just for building muscles, and that's the key. That's why the mind is being so disturbed nowadays with the fear. We've talked about the fear before, and the constant, you know, nowadays when you watch TV, like before you can watch a scene and the dialogue for a long time and really focus on it. Now it's just like scenes, just mad, nothing to focus on, just rapid movement, rapid change. You know, you can never see what's happening. But the mind is the key for a lot of things. And then you manifest through the mind. I'll give you an example. And after you hear that, I want to hear an example where you've used the mind. One of the greatest examples was I've had moments like this, and only when I really focused my intent, I really wanted it so bad that I visualized it to the point where I could taste it right here. And I took no from an answer from anyone. No one trying to, you know, discourage me or whatever. I was so focused that I saw no other way but success. There was no fail at all. And one of those was when I first came to Japan 20 years ago. You know, I didn't have much cash to come out here. I'd never been out here. I had no job lined up, nowhere to go. I didn't even have a hotel booked, nothing. I slept in the streets in a graveyard for a while, man. And people would tell me, oh, you're going to go to Japan. Oh, Japan is so expensive. You don't even speak the language. No, you could never do it. No, what are you going to do over there? Blah, blah, blah. From everywhere, the negativity. But I've been seeing Japan in my mind for years, since I was a little kid, dude. But especially that year where I said, I'm going. To the point where I could already visualize myself living here, having lived here for a long time, like it was real. And it was so real that I could literally smell it, taste it, and hear it. And I've been here for 20 years. August the 2nd, which was 3 days ago, marked my 20th year of having come to Japan. And I've had a few other moments, but it was only when I really threw my mind into it 100%. And it happened like magic. Against all odds. It just happened. Fail proof. That's how strong the mind is, man. And to harness the mind is the best thing you could ever do.
That's true.
Do you have anything where you manifested something from your mind? You focused on it so deeply?
Many things, but
give me an example, man.
So I was there, down and out. Had after my surgery, about 7 stone body weight, frail. My mom invited me over to her house. I couldn't even move. I was just bedridden sort of situation. And then I came across this guy. I just saw his highlights on the UFC, an old UFC fighter. He was about 42 at the time. And he was doing
backflips. His name?
Yoel Romero. His name is Yoel Romero. If you go on my Facebook, I've put a video of him fighting, and he's still fighting now. And then as I was watching him, I liked his style. And then it was almost like it was a godsend. And it was like there was a period in his fighting career where he couldn't fight for 3 years because he broke his neck. I was like, oh shit. And then he turned around, he had a similar scar on his neck as I do. And he was talking about how painful it was, the recovery, coming back. And then I thought to myself, hang on a minute, if this guy's got a broken neck, how is he doing all this stuff? And then he was so revered, people were scared of him. It's like he was a boogeyman. You don't go and fight him unless you want to break some body parts, you know? Literally, and he's still the same, even till today. He's about 47. He's still, I put a video of his last fight on YouTube. He literally brutalized the kid. He nearly killed the guy. That's what he's still doing now. So I thought, oh my God, this guy, yeah, he calls himself Soldier of God. He said it's God that did everything. So I knew that, wow, this guy must have gone somewhere deep in his mind to have come back from that sort of an injury. And you see him as well, he's got a little bit, his neck is a little bit better than mine. He's got a little bit more mobility, but you can also see the stiffness where he can't really turn his neck.
Well, because it's fused.
He's fused. And he's going around, he's brutalizing people. I mean, he's nearly killing them in the octagon. So I remember sitting there showing my mom the clip. I was like, Mom, but look at this guy. He's got a broken neck. People fear him. My mom was like, yeah. She saw what he was doing. She was like, yeah, he's a dangerous guy, but okay, I don't know about you. You know what I mean? So that was the negativity from there. Even my mom didn't believe it. So I thought, okay, I just went quiet. I remember coming home and I said, if that guy can do it, I'm going to do it. I remember that was the first thing that made me just out of nowhere thought, you know what, let me get back to the push. I've always been into fitness, but at this point in my life, it was a point where even the doctors had told me to never do any kind of fitness exercise, never go to the gym. You're going to re-break the neck. They've warned me against it. But me just seeing that guy, that put my mind in a different state. So I started with the push-ups, started with the pull-ups. I started doing little things. Then I got the ball workers. Then I started to see the difference. And I'm not saying I'm the finished article now, but from that day when I showed my mom the picture of the guy, even if I was to call her and ask her and say, Mom, remember that day when I showed you this guy and I told you that if this guy can do it, I can do it. I remember telling her, if he can do it, why can't I do it? And then I see myself now and I know that it was my mind that got me where I am now.
Yeah, and sometimes we need that negativity to focus us even more. Sometimes it's that kick in the butt, like, nah, you can't do it, just so that you can just, do one of these. You know what I mean? It's not.
They used to ring me when I used to get the mace. They used to all ring me. My mom would ring me. That mace thing you're swinging, you need to stop it. You need to know. You need to do. But in my head, I thought, but if I stop it, I'll be at the mercy of all of you lot. If I don't do this, I will have none of my own independence. I won't have no pride in my own ability. I'll be like, Mom, when can you help me? Dad, when can you help me? Bruv, can you help me? I can't walk. To the point where I'm going to start being a burden on life. Yeah. I thought the same people telling me not to go with it are the same people that are going to complain when I become a burden later on in life. So I already saw that far ahead. And obviously,
yes, you said it right there. You saw it far ahead, clearly. Boom.
I could see clearly because I'm saying, yeah, now you're telling me, no, don't do it. I'll look after you. But how long will you look after me to the point where I become a burden, till I become a liability, until it becomes an annoyance, until it becomes a waste of your time? And then you start showing me bad attitude and maybe start abusing me and I start going through certain things because at the beginning it was like, no, don't worry, we'll take care of you. And then later on it's like, oh, you're just there, you're useless. Mate, why didn't you do push-ups? Why didn't you try and rebuild yourself? So I thought, you know what?
Why did you go to physical therapy? Why did you do your exercises at the therapist?
All the stuff that they told you not to do when you were saying you was about to do it. So I don't blame people for that. People always say what's in their mind at the time, but I had the picture of my own destiny, and my destiny was not their opinion. So I saw the picture of where I was going. They see a picture in their head, but that's to do with them. The picture they see in their head is to do with them. My picture is my focus. So I thought to myself, no, I'm not going to be at your mercy for the rest of my life. I appreciate what you're doing for me now, but I can understand that in a few weeks' time, this can become a pressure. This can become a pressure. And everyone's busy. Nobody wants to sit down and have a fully grown man sitting down. Mom, can you lift my legs up? Can you put my socks on? So
exactly.
So I realized that I had to get my own independence. And when I saw this guy, Yoel Romero, soldier of God, doing his thing with a broken neck. He gave me so much motivation. I look up to that guy so much.
Oh, I'm gonna. When we get done, I'm gonna check out his fights on YouTube, mate.
He's a beast.
Oh man.
He's a
Before we
beast.
go, that's beautiful, man, and that's one of the reasons why I love doing what we're doing right now. You know, it's you inspire me too, and then it's good to surround yourself by that too. You can't be swimming in a cesspool all the time. You also need to surround yourself with positivity. And if your mate's down, then you need to use that positivity to bring him up, because sometimes we just get down and we need a little bit of loving too, but yeah, everybody out there, your mind is no joke. This ain't no hocus pocus or anything like that. Just think about it. And it worked the most when you were a kid. Like, I did some crazy things when I was a kid, like I literally willed my grandfather to come back, to come visit me in California after having left. My parents took me back to Colombia, and to California from Colombia. And I was so sad because I don't want to go live with my dad, because I knew what it was going to be like, man. And I just wanted to stay with my grandfather. And every night when I had to go to bed, I would make these songs for my grandfather and sing to him. But I was crying while I was singing to him. I didn't write them. The songs would just come out. And I would kind of like just send it to him, because I had nowhere to talk to him. It's not like we had WhatsApp or Line or Facebook or Messenger or anything like that. I would send it to him. I couldn't write a letter to him. I didn't trust my father. He was going to read it. And I would cry out and very soft, what kind of whimper, and send these. I would imagine the waves of my voice and the words flying. And I imagined the top of Colombia, like looking at Colombia from the top, from an airplane, and it would look exactly for where the house was. And then I would drop in there, and I dropped that message. And I did that every night for a half a year, mate, a half a year. And my father used to get pissed sometimes. He would hear me, shut the fuck up, blah, 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 and then but I still keep going. And my grandfather, one day I opened the door and he was there, dude. It could be, somebody could have been like, oh yeah, well, maybe your mother probably told your dad, look, this kid's really depressed and stuff like that. Or your grandfather just decided to show up. But why he decided to show up? And he never traveled to the United States before. First time, and he came already as an old man. And he went one more time when my first son was born, and I named him. His middle name was after him. He was already 85 when he showed up or 80 when he showed up to California again to stay with me. But the first time I remember just focused as a little kid, dude. Little kids have that, bro. They still hasn't been tampered with yet. So if anything, hey, don't fucking waste your mind, guys. You ever see these, bro?
Yeah, I've got a pair of them.
These are great. These are great. Do you know how to use them well?
Yeah, well, I can spin them in my hands, yeah.
There are certain ways of spinning them, and the best way is when you spin them and they're not touching each other.
Yeah, that's difficult.
They shouldn't be touched. I'll show you. I'm going to be doing videos.
I can do it, but it's quite tricky. So every now and then they clang together.
Yeah. It takes a bit. These things are magical, actually. They're great. And they're really good for after when you've been doing like exercise like gripping. Because you can some of your joints can become filled
Chinese chi balls.
Yeah,
I've bought them many times. I've got a pair in my room now. I've always bought them. I've lost them. I've known about those for years.
Same here, but now I'm really gonna treasure them, man, and really get into it because I've
got a set in my room, 100%.
Yeah, they're amazing. So
and they even there's something inside the balls as well.
Yeah, some of them have that, some of them don't.
Mine, even if you shake an individual ball, there's something inside it. So
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and that originally they didn't have.
So they can even without, they have a resonance even on their own.
Yeah, it's
that's cool. Sound.
Well, you know what got me to get these again? Not only like I've had always like my middle finger here on my right hand from doing jujitsu. sometimes it bothers me a little bit, and so I don't want to develop arthritis there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And these things are really soothing. It's what your fingers need. It's kind of like a finger yoga, pretty much.
Yeah. So
What
give
it
us a
is.
demonstration then.
Dude, if I can hold on.
Well, I think we're almost out of time though.
Hold on.
Yeah, we've got like 6 minutes.
Well, what I'll do is for the next one, I'll put the camera in the right way, and
Yeah.
so that I can show, because it's got to be facing down so that you can see them.
Okay.
But
Okay.
really, I keep the balls like that at all time, and that's because you're able to fully, well, yeah, that separation. You're able to really stretch. Originally, yeah, you start off by having them rub against each other.
Yeah,
But
it's not so easy to keep them so separate, is it? Well,
at
for
the
me,
beginning,
I
it
don't know.
wasn't.
You might be a master, but for me,
For me,
I struggle a bit.
well, I play bass guitar, bro, so I'm really good with my fingers. Yeah, you know,
I mean,
but
even if they touch a bit, I can get them spinning really fast in my hands. But
yeah,
they're just clanging. So every now and then
they
they
have
touch.
different forms. You can do them where they're touching each other, and then where they're not touching each other forward and backwards, and then you can do them where you spin them from the top like this, instead of it in your hand this way, they go this way, and that's even a bit more trickier. There are larger ones, and that's the ones where it can get a little bit more, but they're excellent. And so next time we'll get into it. We'll introduce.
Yeah, give us a demonstration next time so we can.
Yeah.
See
But
what
anyway,
it does.
since we only have a little bit of time, send us off with a little message, man, because we all need it, and to hear your lovely messages makes me also reflect on the conversation that we've had. Go ahead, buddy.
Okay, so let me think. Yeah, an awareness, an awareness of people, and a empathy and sympathy towards people's conditions is really important, because as we got through this, one of the things that we was talking about is how sometimes we look at people and we think, is this character real? Is this really them? And sometimes it can close us off here from opening up to the right people. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yes,
so sometimes, but also sometimes if you open up too fast and too much, then you can get hurt. So one thing we need to work on is our awareness and our ability to tell a person's character and to read, because it's a skill. It's a skill to be able to read. It's a lot of people say, yeah, I can read this person, but then they're reading wrong, or you're judging this person, or you've not even given him a chance to show his beautiful qualities. You've already cut him off. So I pray here that we have this awareness and we have this humility to understand that even the most beautiful diamonds also have a little bit of a rough edges. So don't judge something just because of a little rough edge you saw about it, because deep down inside it could be something very beautiful. And we cannot expect everyone to be perfect like Jesus and have no flaws. So even the beautiful person that you're going to look up to, the person that's going to lead you, he also has his flaws, is what I'm trying to say. So don't let these flaws stop us from seeing the beauty inside people.
That, man, couldn't have said it any better. And with that, once again, we come together in a time of darkness, of cold, or maybe we just imagine that darkness and cold. But even if there is that darkness and cold, we come together in friction. And slowly that heat builds up, breaking through the barriers of madness and darkness, so that we can create that spark and bear that light. Amen. All right. See you, man. Loved it. Like always, slam dunk with beauty. Yes. All right, brother love, get it going, and then I'll get it to you. All right.
Okay, brother. Yes, brother.
All right, brother love. I'll send you a message too. Okay.
Yes.
Peace and love. Keep it
Peace
gently.
Peace and love, brother. Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.